Unknown good beef? It's like we're back in the good old days. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Scratch Golf Show. If you're new here to the channel, welcome. My name is Marco. I'm your host. Typically here on the Scratch Golf Show, I'm interviewing the top creators in the YouTube golf space, but today we're breaking down something the GOAT, Wesley Bryan, said, hashtag free Wesley. Let's play the clip, then we'll talk about it. Also, like the video, and please subscribe. That stuff really helps me out. Now, let's play the clip.
Was I playing with you here?
Yes.
So in the group in front,
that's the day we had the hole in
Sharp
one.
made a hole in one.
That's the day Matt had the hole in one on this hole. Dude, this is like, how many full circle moments are we having today?
I just had a flashback of standing on that green, watching Sharp make a hole in one, and then you and Garrett taking off running.
Oh yeah, it was right here. We played here in a pro-am before we liked each other.
That's
we did
when
not
we first
speak
met.
that entire pro-am.
Well,
let's hash it out right now.
Okay.
So the first time we met was this pro-am. We said we were filming a Good video.
Yeah.
Okay. We thought you were going to be a part of the video.
You
were kind of locked in and you did your own thing, and I think we all took that pretty personally.
Right, y'all did, and we found out when y'all were here that y'all couldn't use any of my shots. None of me could be shown because of the meteorite stuff. And what y'all don't realize is that I spent most of that day and the time that I had off, like I was also trying to keep my card. I was playing on a medical.
Oh,
and
I
had one start left after this tournament, and I needed like 4 FedEx Cup points to keep my status. And so anyway, I spend all of my free time calling people at the PGA Tour saying, y'all are ridiculous if y'all don't let Good post this video. And so I was behind the scenes just going to bat like
I know,
like
it didn't change the fact that we did not like you.
Right, I know.
We did not like you.
So in keep in mind at the time y'all had kicked Georgia out of Good originally.
I wasn't there.
Right, I know, but I'm saying Good had kicked. So obviously I had some ill feelings towards it. But I was giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. I really enjoyed it, and then it turns out that afterwards everyone was like, screw that Wesley guy. And I was like, man, I was just going to bat for hours on the
drama,
phone.
so much drama, guys. Oh, there's just too much.
And so, needless to say, here we are having full circle moments.
First, credit to Grant. That's a great video, guys. You guys should go check it out. But man, it's like we're back in the good old days. And I guess let me break down what they're referring to. So they're referring to an old Good video back when Grant was still in Good. And Matt Scharf, dude always gets holes in ones, got a hole in one on the bear trap where they're playing at PGA National Grant's video on hole 15. And apparently they were supposed to do something with Wesley for the Pro-Am. Wesley was still playing on the PGA Tour at the time. He talked about it in the clip, how he was playing for his life. Basically at the time he was playing for his PGA Tour career. He was playing on a major medical, which basically means, for people who don't know pro golf, he was playing on an exemption from an injury, from a previous previous season. He needed 4 FedEx Cup points that week in his last start to keep his PGA Tour card. But a couple things that he also talked about was they couldn't use any of the footage because of how hilarious what he was suspended for, his media rights deal, or his media rights violation that he did with Grant's channel, which is still BS, free Wesley. But there was a couple things that I wanted to talk about in that clip. One, they didn't like Wesley a while ago. Like Grant and Good didn't like Wesley, and we've never really seen a huge collab between the Bryan Bros and Good. Good has done some live events and some pro events. The Bryan Bros have participated, but we've never really seen a crossover between the two channels. And that brings me to the second part of that clip that I want to talk about. Is Wesley said, y'all kicked George out of Good. Which, for people who just are started watching YouTube golf in the last couple of years, like, what are you talking about? George, Good. Yes, it is true. George Bryan actually started in Good. If you go back to Good's YouTube channel, some of their first videos, George Bryan is actually in was in Good. And I was made aware of this a while ago. I actually didn't know that either because I didn't catch on to Good until a little after that. But if you're an OG, you knew that George was in Good. And it sounded like way back when this is probably 3 years ago now, that they had some beef between Grant, George, Wes, all these guys who are now friends. And I'm sure this is water under the bridge for the most part. But some unknown beef between Good and the Bryan Bros back in the day. Some of the biggest creators who, Grant and Wesley talked about in that clip, they had a full circle moment and bringing it back to PGA National. But yeah, crazy that George Bryan wasn't Good. He was in a few videos. And seriously, I went back the other day and watched these videos. And it's what he said kind of stuck with me was y'all kicked out George. And as you guys know, Good has gone through different roster construction. Quan leaving, Micah Grant leaving, all these guys coming in, Blake, Melosi, J&A. But man, oh man, what would happen? Can you comment below? What are your thoughts if George still was in Good? If George never left, or if George never got kicked out of Good from back in the day? Could you imagine where we'd be in YouTube golf and what YouTube golf would look like if Good had all these creators under their umbrella, the Bryan Bros, Grant, Micah? Man, imagine the collabs we could have now. But I thought it was very interesting the way he worded that. And Wesley is obviously known for, I guess, not being controversial, but maybe being controversial, and likes to stir the pot a little bit. And I'm sure he said that there's a reason for that he said that y'all kicked George out, and that kind of makes sense. Like, you know, I don't know whose decision it was. I'm not super close with a lot of the OG Good guys, and I'd be curious to know, but I'm sure, like I said, it's all water under the bridge now. I just found it super interesting the way he worded that. Y'all kicked George out of Good. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video today. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button once again and comment your thoughts below. I found it super interesting. Love to see George and Good or Wes and Good or the Bryan Bros, whatever, do a collab at some point. Got some cool stuff coming down the pipe, so make sure you turn those notifications on. Interviews with Micah Morris, Bubby Golf coming down the pipe. No, that's not clickbait. Working on getting those out in June. So watch my other interviews here, or here. Subscribe here. Have a great weekend. Peace.